And if you have a prop like a block or a blanket, you can sit on that, and it just gets your knees to drop a little bit lower than your hips, and just bringing some openness to the front side of your body. But it's not a requirement, just offers a different orientation to the space. And then just rest your hands to wherever feels comfortable for you. And then this morning, just starting to find that alignment of getting shoulders over your hips. Think about lengthening your crown of your head towards sky. And then it gets nice to start with breath and mindful breathing. Sort of shifting out of your sort of just day-to-day breathing. And finding some length in your breath. See if you can expand your inhale and lengthen your exhale. And then you're just going to drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. And maybe tuck your chin in towards your chest, so you're looking more down towards earth. Or rotating your gaze up towards sky. It just offers a different orientation into your neck. Might just need a little attention this morning, depending on how you slept last night. And then you'll drop your hands down towards your mat and rest your left hand on top of your head. And just making sure you're not hugging your ear towards your shoulder, but really just using the natural weight of your hand just to get an added release to that side of your neck. For me this morning, it's tucking my chin towards my chest and getting a little bit more activation to the back side of my neck. But find what works for you. And then you'll lower your left hand back down by your side. Bring your head back up to center and drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And again, just sort of play with where your gaze sits for this morning. And for me, it's straight forward. And then you can rest your right hand on top of your head. Just hugging your right ear closer to your shoulder. And staying mindful with your breath. So intentional breath in, guided breath out. And I'll take 3 more breaths here. And then lower your right hand back down by your side. Bring your head back into center. And then just drop your chin towards your chest. Maybe getting some opening to the back side of your neck. You're going to rest your hands at the back of your head. And again, just using the natural weight of your hands to offer a little bit more release into your neck. If at any point this feels uncomfortable for you, You can just keep your hands lower down towards your mat and just use the natural weight of your head to find that release. And then you'll bring your head back up into center. If you're sitting on a blanket or a block or a book or whatever you're using for a prop, you're just going to set it to side and come to sit on your mat and come into a wide-legged seat. So you're extending your feet out toward diagonal. Toes are pointed up to sky. It's early in the morning, so you're not maxing out your split this morning. You're just finding a little openness into the legs. Get regrounded into your sit bones. And find the length. So grounding into your sit bones, find the length of your backside. You're going to rotate your heart to point towards your right toes. You might feel some activation to the inside of your left quad, into the groin. And you're going to just take a gentle fold, walking your hands towards your right toes. And maybe you can grab onto your ankle or your shin or your knee or your toes, but just in seeing how this feels this morning. What's sort of activated through your right leg, maybe behind the knee, into the hamstring or the glute. Just breathing into the space. And then you'll guide yourself back up into seated. Find that tall seat, heart pointed forward. You're going to bring your hands down in front of you and walk your hands forward. And if you have a block or a book or something that you want to place underneath your forearms, maybe come down onto your forearms with a little assist from bringing the floor a little bit closer to you. Or you might have a fold where you come down onto your forearms, or you might just stay up on your hands. Just find that sort of release through the inside of both sides of the inside of your quad. It's happening right here. But you just keep lowering down till you find that space where the conversation starts in the legs, how it's feeling this morning. And if at any time you feel your breath shortening, just back off a little bit. Keep in control of your breath. Come into this mindful space of movement this morning. So be kind to yourself, be kind to your breath. And you'll walk your hands towards you to come back up into your tall seat. Rotate your heart to point towards your left toes. And then walk your hands towards your toes. Again, maybe grab onto your toes, knee, ankle, anything along the way. And then just lean into the space. Two more breaths here. And then you'll come back up into seated. Bring your hands in front of you. We're going to take that walk towards the front of the mat again. So hands down in front of you, and just keep walking your hands forward to sort of invite a conversation into the legs and see what they have to say. So maybe with a little release that you've done to the right leg and the left leg, you can walk your hands just a little bit more forward. Again, you can always take a prop like some blocks or a book and rest onto it. I think it's nice, and you can bring the floor just a little bit closer to you. I'm going to take 4 more breaths here. If you're clenching onto the knees or tightening up in the glutes, just let it go. And then going to walk your hands back towards you. If you've used a prop, you're going to set it aside. And then you're going to come into a tall seat or tabletop. We're going to just do some cat-cows. So if you want to do it seated to stay off of your knees this morning, you can do this seated. But if you want to do it from tabletop, you can come onto your hands and knees. Again, if you want some protection from your knees, you can either double your mat over to get a little extra cushion. You might be on just a cushy floor in your house this morning, so you can, that provides some extra support. Or if you have a blanket nearby, you can use a blanket and just place that underneath your knees for a little extra cushion. But whether you're doing this seated or in table, you're going to round through your backside, shifting gaze towards your knees. And then shift tailbone up, soft gaze to front of space. Round through the backside, gaze towards your knees. Shift tailbone up, soft gaze to front of space. Then you're just going to take this on your own, just rounding through the backside, pressing earth away, hugging navel in towards spine. Then lift your tailbone, soft gaze to front of space. You can take these as fast or as slow as you want to. And then if there's any other organic movement sort of speaking to you, like maybe a gaze over your shoulder towards your feet, and shift into whatever your body's calling for. Any organic movement. You might make a circle of your hips over your heels, sort of getting some movement through the backside of your body into your hips. You're going to take 3 more breaths here. And then you'll come back into stillness. If you are seated, you can join us at a table. In your table, you're just going to come to a seat in a hero's pose. So your big toes are your knees are big toes. Your knees are going to come to touch, and sit your hips back towards your heels. You're going to kind of come up onto your knees and just extend your right leg out. And so you're on the big toe side of your right foot. You're going to lower your left hand towards your mat, or maybe to a block if that seems too far away, and extend your right hand out. And you're just getting a stretch through the right side of your body. So like pressing through the sole of your right foot and reaching through your right fingers. And again, your gaze can be straight forward, up towards sky, down towards earth. However, that sort of speaks for your neck. And then just breathe into the space. Finding some length through the right side of your body. See if you can reach out just a little bit more. And then you're going to guide yourself back up. Crown of head towards sky, hands to your hips. And you're going to take that in the other direction. So you're going to reach your right hand down your right leg, reach your left hand over, getting some stretch to the left side of your body. And then guide yourself back up. You could just drop your hands straight down in front of you, bring your right knee back under your hip, and we're just going to take it to the other side. So extending up through your left leg. And you're on the big toe side of your left foot. You'll come straight up. Lower your right hand down to your mat. Reach your left hand out. And again, just playing with your gaze. Down towards earth, straight forward, up towards sky, just all having a different orientation to your neck. Reaching out. See if you can find a little bit more length through your left side. And then you'll lower your left arm down and guide yourself back up to center. Just lower your left arm down your left leg or reach your right hand to sky. And take a gentle side bend over to your left. See if you can find a little bit more openness into the hip, to the side of your right body. Use your inhale to guide you back up into center. You'll drop your hands down to the floor. Left knee comes back underneath your left hip. If you have a blanket or something you placed on your mat, you're going to set that aside. And then you're just going to come to stand at the front of your mat. And I want you to stand with your feet hip-width distance apart. So it's like there's 2 fists in between your feet. And we're going to do a little rock back and forward. So you're going to lift up your heels and rock your weight towards your toes. Then lower your heels down, lift your toes up. Lower your toes, lift the heels. Lower the heels, lift the toes. And you're just going to kind of take the same movement front and back. Lift the heels, lower the heels, lift the toes. Lower the toes, lift the heels. Just rocking front to back. Sort of waking up your feet. Sometimes our feet don't get a lot of attention these days, so finding some groundness through the soles of your feet. And just keeping rocking back and forth. You might feel your core engage a little bit because you're like, oh, a little unsteady on the balls of my feet. Haven't worn my stiletto shoes in a long time, or ever. But just rocking back and forth for a few more. And then you'll lower your heels down, lower your toes down. And then step your feet together. So big toes touch. There can be space between your heels, but hug your legs in together. Press into the soles of your feet. Lift your toes. Start to feel the weight of your body shift into the soles of your feet, finding more length through the backside. And you'll lower your toes back to your mat. On your inhale, you're going to reach your hands to sky. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach your hands up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, forward fold. And you can take a bend in your knees this morning. It's your first standing forward fold. Be kind to yourself. On your inhale, you're going to bring your hands to your shins. Lengthen out through the backside. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your hands to sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, length. Hands to your shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your hands to sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your hands to sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, fold. You're going to plant your hands on your mat. Step back into a plank. You're going to lower your knees to your mat. You're going to keep the diagonal to the front side of your body. Lower all the way to your abdomen. Inhale, lift you into a baby cobra. Hug your shoulder blades together. Gaze stays on the floor in front of you. Exhale, lower. You're going to lift up into your tabletop. You can stay here or come into a downward facing dog. You're going to look to your hands. Step your right foot to the front of your mat, your left foot to the front of your mat. Bring your hands to your shins and lengthen out. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your hands to sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, fold. You're going to plant your hands on your mat. Step your left foot to back of mat. Rotate your left heel down. You want the heel of your right foot to line up with the arch of your left foot at the back of your mat. Starting with your left hand, you're going to rise up into your warrior two. There's a bend into your right knee. Reaching your arms out, gaze over your right arm, right hand. You're going to release your warrior, extending both hands to sky, lengthening out through your right leg. Rotate your left toes to point towards the left side of your mat. Your left toes will point to the back of your mat. Warrior two. Find the opening into your hips. Release your warrior. Rotate your left toes to point towards the left side of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Find length through your torso and carry that length forward. Lower your hands to your mat. Find length through your backside. Exhale, release crown of head towards your mat. You're going to walk your hands back to the front of your mat, swinging your toes to the front of your mat. Step your left foot to the front of your mat. Inhale, length. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your hands to sky. Exhale, bring your hands into heart center. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, fold. Ground your hands on your mat. Step back into your plank. You're going to have a little fun this morning. With knees lifted or lowered, we're going to lower to the count of 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're still not on your mat, but you got this. Breathe in. All the way down to your mat. Beautiful. You can bring your hands as a little pillow. Rest onto one cheek. Take a bend in your knees and just sort of wind chart for your feet from side to side. And then lower your feet back to your mat. Hands underneath your shoulders. And you're just going to guide yourself back into a child's pose. So big toes touch. Knees to side edges of mat. Extending your hands forward. Feel the connection of your breath. And then you're just going to walk your hands back to your knees to guide yourself up. You'll rotate your legs forward, lower down onto your back, hug your knees into your chest. You're going to send your arms out to a T, and then lower your knees over to the left, shifting your gaze towards the right. And maybe bring your left hand on top of your right knee and just inviting a little deeper release into the twist. And your knees might be in line with your hips, slightly above your hips or slightly below your hips. Just all a different orientation to bring some release into the body. And again, you can play with your gaze to be towards the left or up towards sky or over to the right. You then lower your left hand back to your mat. Bring your knees into center. And then lower your knees over to the right. Shifting your gaze towards the left. And again, just playing with the height of your knees, seeing how that speaks to you this morning. Maybe using your right hand on top of your knee to invite a little bit more release into the twist. And then find the gaze that speaks to you. And then lower your right hand back down to your mat. Bring your knees back up to center. And lower your feet to your mat. You're going to bring your right ankle to your left knee, opening up in your hip. You're going to use your right hand to press into the inside of your right quad and just hugging that knee a little bit more open, but just guiding it to its natural place. Don't feel like you're pressing or giving more stress to the side of your body. You're just finding a little openness for the morning. And then you'll release your hand from the inside of your quad, lower your right foot to your mat, and then you'll bring your left ankle to your right knee, opening up in the hip. Left hand comes to the inside of your left quad. And just guiding that hip just a little bit more open. And you can press in anywhere but the knee. So the closer your hand is to your hip, the more guidance that will give into your hip. But find that space that speaks to you. You'll then release your left hand from the inside of your left quad. Lower your left foot to your mat. And then you're going to bring the soles of your feet to touch, opening up in the knees. Coming into a Supta Baddha Konasana. Extend your hands to back of space, keeping your arms rested on the floor. And you're just going to bring your hands to your opposite elbows. So I'm just going to show this because you can't really see it on my floor. So I'll come to see in case you're not sure what I'm doing. But it's just hands to opposite elbows. And it's offering just a little bit opening into your chest, into your shoulders. But everything is rested onto the floor. And just think about channeling your breath into the front side of your body. I want you to take a deep breath in, heavy breath out. Deep breath in, heavy breath out. And then you'll release your hands from opposite elbows. Use your hands to guide your knees back into center. Hug your knees into your chest. And then extend your left foot to the end of your mat and your right foot to the end of your mat. And just extending your arms out to a T. And just finding a simple place to rest this morning. If traditional Shavasana doesn't speak to you this morning, you can come to a gentle seat. Or if you're feeling a little tweak into your lower back, extending your feet to the end of your mat, you can also just bring the soles of your feet to your mat. I just want to find a place of stillness. And start to feel the release through your shoulders, your back, the glutes, quads, knees, calves, the gentleness in your toes. You're going to take your heaviest breath in the morning. See if you can take another sip of air in. And exhale, let it all go. Shavasana. You're going to make some gentle just movement with your head from side to side, like moving left to right. A little wiggle of the fingers, a little wiggle of the toes. And then you'll bring the soles of your feet to your mat. And hug your knees into your chest. You're going to extend your right hand towards the back of your space. And then just roll over to your right so you can rest your head on top of your arm like a little pillow. And then you're going to guide yourself up into seated. And just resting your hands wherever calls to you this morning. And as you arrive into the space, start to shift back into intentional breath. And it usually takes a few rounds to draw this mindfulness in. And just be kind to yourself. And expanding your inhale and lengthening your exhale. Something that I was talking about just as we started class this morning was the amount of wind that we encountered over the past 2 days. And I was sitting at work yesterday and I was like, I hope everything I need is going to be there when I get home, inclusive of my house. It just was a storm of wind blowing through. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope my grill's okay. And I was just naming all these things. And I'm like, I hope I don't lose this or lose that. And then I was like, Courtney, you just got to settle in. That this wind has bubbled up onto our land for a reason. Because sometimes there's just a lot of chaos cluttering our vision that just needs to move aside. So your house is going to be there. It's anchored in. The things that you truly hold on to in your life tend to be anchored in. The stuff that's sort of causing the noise of your life Julie is not on settled ground. And so I reminded myself that things that I need are anchored in. I am anchored into my life. Things that I'm needing for my life are anchored into me, which is all that I need. And then try to give some lightness to my day. That this is an opportunity for me to see what are the things that are just causing some excess noise to my life. What are the things that need to blow away? And I need to let go of because they are clouding my vision forward. What is that for you? What are the things that are causing a lot of noise in your life that you don't need? That if you just set it aside, life would be okay. Sometimes that's hard to sort of read through the leaves as to what you're holding on to, because everything seems essential. And maybe there's this moment to reflect on this morning of something that's causing a lot of noise, but is making no traction, no attention. And it's time to set it aside. What is that for you? Just going to shift into 2 minutes to give you space to sort of reflect on the thing that might be causing disruption, that the storm just needs to blow it away. And it's not getting into the how, it's not getting into the aftermath of what will happen when it's gone. It's really just bringing attention to something in your life that you're no longer needing. Something in your life that can come off of your to-do list. The mindful breath we have in this space is to keep our attention inward, to keep your focus into this space. And if you feel your mind drifting, come back to your breath. See if there's a little bit more length to your inhale or release in your exhale. What is something that you're holding on to? It's time to let go. Maybe you call that into attention, or it's still looming out there. I want you to draw your attention into yourself. Bring your hands into heart center. As we come into these spaces of reflection, this isn't something else to add to your to-do list. It's really just bringing some awareness. And as you journey through your day, you might stumble upon this object, on the situation that you no longer need. It'll call to you exactly when it needs to. I want you to take a deep breath in. Exhale, let it out. Bow your chin to your chest in beauty of your practice and beauty of the space that you've come into this morning. I bow to you, my Lego warriors. Namaste. Thank you.